Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlene Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I'm Thiruni Karunaratna. Here are tonight's top stories.
The presidential race is on. 23 parties, 16 independents, 39 candidates enter the race. Symbol of the gas cylinder for independent candidate Ranil Wickremesinghe. Presidential candidates receive a warm welcome. Rishad inks agreement to support Sajid. 3 members of his party back Ranil. SJB's Velukumar joins Ranil. Chairman and Secretary of the United Lanka Podujana Peramuna remanded for allegedly soliciting a bribe of 30 million rupees to offer party membership to Janaka Ratnayaka. 20 Sri Lankans rescued from the cyber slave camp in Myanmar in the custody of Thai immigration officials.
Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka decides. Sri Lanka decides.
39 candidates submitted their nominations today for the upcoming presidential election.
Among them, 16 candidates represent 22 established political parties, while others are affiliated with different parties or are contesting as independent candidates.
The nomination process began today at 9 a.m. at the election office in Rajgiriya with the chairman and members of the election commission present.
තවත් අපේක්ෂකයින් මේ මොහොතේදී මැතිවරණ මහලේකම් කාර්යාල පරිශ්‍රයට පැමිණෙන ආකාරයයි ඔබ දකින්නේ. ඒ අනුව අපේක්ෂකයින් තවත් පැමිණීමට නියමිතව තිබෙනවා අප මුදල් තැන්පත් කළ පාර්ශවීන්. විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ වර ජනාධිපතිවරණය සඳහා පාර්ශව 40ක් අප මුදල් තැන්පත් කරනු ලැබුවා. ඒ ලැබපත් කරන ලද පාර්ශවීන්ගේ නෛතිකමය ලිපි ලේඛන සියල්ල විමර්ශනය කිරීමෙන් අනතුරුව ලකුණු දීමේ ක්‍රමවේදයට යටත් කර ඒ වගේම විශේෂයෙන්ම විරෝධතා ගොනුවනවා නම් දහවල 11 සිට 11 දක්වා.
Of the 40 candidates who deposited bonds, 39 completed the nomination process today. Sarath Kumar Gunaratna did not submit his nomination. Ranil Wickremesinghe presented his nomination as an independent candidate.
අපේක්ෂකයෙකු ලෙසින් මෙවර ජනාධිපතිවරණයට ඉදිරිපත් වන රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතාද නාම යෝජනා පත්‍ර බාර දීම සඳහා සූදානම් වන ආකාරය මේ දකින්නේ. ඒ අනුව එතුමන්ගේ නීතිඥ මණ්ඩලය සහ නිකුත් අප මුදල් තැන්පත් කිරීමේ ක්‍රියාවලියට සම්බන්ධ වුණු පාර්ශවීන් සමග රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතා ස්වාධීන අපේක්ෂකයෙකු ලෙසින් මෙවර ජනාධිපතිවරණයට නාම යෝජනා බාර දීම සඳහා සූදානම් වන්නේ. ඒ අනුව මැතිවරණ කොමිසමේ සභාපතිවරයාට මැතිවරණ කොමසාරිස් ජෙනරාල්වරයාට මෙම ලේඛන බාර දීමෙන් අනතුරුව ඒවා නිසි නෛතිකමය ක්‍රමවේදයට අනුකූලව පවතින්නේද යන්න පිළිබඳ විශ්ලේෂණය කිරීමෙන් පසුවයි අපේක්ෂකත්වයේ සඳහා සුදුසුකම් හිමිවන්නේ.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa submitted his nomination as the representative of the Samagi Janabalawegaya.
ජනබලවේගය වෙනුවෙන් ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂක ලෙස ඉදිරිපත් වන සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහතාද මේ මොහොතේදී ජනාධිපතිවරණයට අදාළව නාම යෝජනා පත්‍ර ලබා දීමේ කටයුතුයි මේ සිදුවන්නේ. උන්ගේ ජාතික හැඳුනුම්පත් පරීක්ෂා කිරීම, ලිපි ලේඛන, අනිකුත් සියලු ලේඛන පරීක්ෂා කිරීමෙන් අනතුරුවයි ඔවුන් මෙවර ජනාධිපතිවරණයට අපේක්ෂකයෙකු ලෙසින් ඉදිරිපත් විය හැකිද යන්න නෛතික වශයෙන් තහවුරු කර මැතිවරණ කොමිසම විසින්
Anirukumar Disanayake filed his nomination as the candidate of the National People's Power.
ජාතික ජනබලවේගය නියෝජනය කරමින් ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා ලෙසින් ඉදිරිපත් වන අනුරුකුමාර දිසානායක මහතා නාම යෝජනා පත්‍ර බාර දීම සඳහා මැතිවරණ කොමිසම ඉදිරියට පැමිණෙන අවස්ථාවයි.
Namal Rajapaksa, the national organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, submitted his nomination as the party's presidential candidate. Tamil common candidate P. Aryanetran also entered the race as an independent candidate. Former Minister President's Counsel Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa submitted his nomination as the candidate of the National Democratic Front. Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca filed as an independent candidate, while businessman Dilip Jayavira submitted his nomination on behalf of the Sri Lankan Communist Party. Attorney Nuwan Bopage submitted his nomination as the candidate of the Socialist People's Forum. Former Minister Roshan Ranasinghe also filed his nomination as an independent candidate. Janaka Ratnayaka, former chairman of the Public Utilities Commission, entered the race with his nomination from the Eksat Lanka Podujana Party. Oshala Lakmal Herath submitted his nomination from the Abhinava Nivahal Peramuna Peramuna, while Siritunga Jayasuriya filed his nomination on behalf of the United Socialist Party. Pani Vijay Sirivardhana from the Socialist Equality Party, Sarath Manamendra from the New Sinhala Urumaya, WSK Bandaranayaka from the National Development Front and ASP Liyanage from the Sri Lanka Labour Party also presented their nominations. Venerable Battaramulla Seelaratana Thero filed his nomination as the candidate of the Janasetta Peramuna. JDK Vikramaratna represented the Janabala Party and Anuj De Silva submitted his nomination from the Democratic United National Front. Attorney Namal Rajapaksa also entered the race from the Samabima Party. Priyantha Pushpakumara from the New Samasamaja Party, Ajantha Dizoisa from the Ruhunu Janata Peramuna and Mahinda Devage from the Sri Lanka Socialist Party also submitted their nominations. K.R. Krishan filed his nomination from the Arunalu Janata Peramuna. Muhammad Din Faz submitted his nomination as the candidate of the United Democratic Alliance, while Lalit De Silva presented his nomination from the United National Freedom Front. Venerable Lakshmi Manadaya Ratanathero, Sarath Kirtiratna, K.K. Piyadasa, Siripala Amarasinghe, Anthony Victor Pereira, K. Anand Kularatna, E.M. Tilakaraja, D.M. Bandaranaika, Anuruddha Polgampala, Sydney Jairatna, Marakalamanage Pemasiri and Muhammad Ilyas also submitted their nominations as independent candidates. The nomination period concluded at 11 a.m. today. The window for filing objections remained open until 11:30 a.m., during which 3 objections were lodged against the nominations.
Views were expressed by various presidential candidates who have submitted their nominations.
We challenge you to defeat us. Our goal is to establish a clear and effective government that will truly build the nation. Unfortunately, everyone here is tainted with corruption. None are exempt. I acknowledge my own flaws, but we are committed to addressing corruption, which has been rampant and unchecked.
මේක අන්ලිමිටඩ් මේගොල්ලෝ කරා.
කවදාවත් නැති විදියට එක අපේක්ෂකේ ප්‍රවර්ධනය කරන්න ඩමි කැන්ඩිඩේට්ස්ලා නැත්නම් රූකඩ අපේක්ෂකයෝ විශාල සංඛ්‍යාවක් දාලා එක් තැනැත්තෙක් වෙනුවෙන් 15 දෙනෙක් 20 දෙනෙක් වගේ ඇවිල්ලා හිටියා. ඒගොල්ලෝ නිකන් කල්ලි කණ්ඩායම් වගේ චණ්ඩි වගේ තමයි එතන කල්ලි ගෑයිලා හැසිරුනේ. ඉතින් මම කාරුණිකව ඉල්ලනවා මැතිවරණ කොමිසමට මේ පිළිබඳව මින් ඉදිරියට මේ කටයුතු වලදී විනය රකින්න. මොකද ජනතාවට විනය රකින්න කියලා අපි ඉල්ලන්න පෙර අපි විනය රැකලා පෙන්වන්න ඕනේ.
තුමාව ගෙනාවු මෛත්‍රීපාල මහත්තයා සජබෙට යන කතාවක් තියෙනවා.
ඔව් එහෙම ගියොත් හොඳයි කියලා හිතෙනවා.
දැන් ඔක්කොම
Now everyone is going door to door, addressing people as brother and sister. Yet none of these individuals have genuinely served the people. They are simply seeking the people's mandate. If they can offer something tangible, like a broom for distribution, that would be great. The mandate should be granted based on real contributions.
ජනවරමදී යුත්තර ජනවරම දෙන්න ඕන.
මේ රට
Regardless of who wins, the country will not overcome its current crisis. By 2027 and 2028, we may face an even deeper crisis. To recover, we must deviate from the neoliberal path that we have followed and move towards a governance model aligned with socialist principles as seen in friendly nations. We should not operate in isolation but work collaboratively with the world to address common challenges. Sri Lanka is a precious asset. Every 5 years a few families plunder this treasure. We must prevent this theft from happening for the 6th time. There will be no sanctuary for the distressed if this continues. We are currently in the Mariana Trench and will continue to struggle unless decisive action is taken. We are ready to embark on a new political journey because the people have firmly rejected the current system. A new approach is essential. We have developed a comprehensive program for this new direction. This is the fundamental foundation that we present at this moment. For 75 years, the people of the North and East have been marginalized. We have voted for 8 presidents, each of whom has engaged with our Tamil leaders. The Northeast people have a distinct identity and our national problem remains unresolved. The people desire to address this issue and support a unified candidate. I am merely a symbol, not the candidate. Even if my name appears, vote for the symbol. We have chosen the conch shell as our symbol. Today, for the first time in our 200-year history, the Hill Country community who have faced denial of citizenship and disenfranchisement stand united to send a powerful message to the world. We will rise again and actively participate in the presidential election of this country.
The election period has officially begun after the acceptance of nominations concluded. What are the actions permissible or prohibited during this time period?
Chairman of the Election Commission, along with the police, have outlined detailed guidelines.
An election campaign advertisement or any other form of publicity, including photographs or pictures of symbols and flags, may only be displayed on the day of a meeting in the vicinity of the place or at duly authorized and notified polling officers, subject to certain restrictions. Processions are prohibited from the nomination day until 1 week after the conclusion of the presidential election. Acts such as giving bribes, undue influence and corruption to obtain votes are considered acts of corruption. Promoting party candidates through religious programs or meeting held at sacred places constitutes undue influence. The use of public property for the promotion or prejudice of party candidates during the presidential election is strictly prohibited. No official deprived of political rights may engage in any political activity related to the presidential election except for voting. Even civil servants who retain political rights cannot engage in political activities during official hours. Every government officer and employee must comply with directives issued by the Election Commission through Gazette number 2394/56, issued on the 26th of July 2024. The penalty for wrongful acts of corruption, illegal activities and violations of orders are clearly stated in the Act on the election of the President and the Constitution. It is important to note that some offences may result in severe penalties, including the cancellation of the elections and loss of civic rights. All citizens both in Sri Lanka and abroad are earnestly requested to refrain from spreading false information, hate speech and similar content through social media networks. Additionally, on behalf of the Election Commission, I kindly request all candidates and their representatives to inform their supporters, both known and unknown, to use social media responsibly.
Sri Lanka police said posters, banners and cutouts used for illegal propaganda for the presidential election will be removed from today.
A committee was established to oversee security for candidates and former presidents during the presidential election period based on cabinet approval. All candidates will be provided with security. Additionally, an assessment will be carried out by the intelligence units regarding threats to each candidate. Thereafter, the committee will decide if the security needs to be beefed up based on the assessment. Security will be provided for the rallies which presidential candidates attend if informed beforehand. The relevant police OICs will be informed and they will coordinate accordingly. Police approval needs to be obtained if loudspeakers will be used for rallies.
A significant number of supporters gathered around the election office in Rajagiriya today to support the presidential candidates who submitted their nominations. Independent candidate President Ranil Wickremesinghe arrived among the crowd and sought their support for his victory. Ranil Wickremesinghe will contest the election under the gas cylinder symbol.
Today everyone has come here, some by bus, others by van. You are having your meals. Why? In a country plagued by fuel shortages, there are no fuel lines today. In a country suffering from food shortages, there are no food lines. Even the medicine shortage that once plagued us is no more. We have funds now. There is relief. Life is manageable. But challenges remain. You might need to take out a loan. Salaries might be insufficient. Living conditions might be tough. I understand this. I am sorry and frustrated about it. I am angered by those responsible. The political leaders of this country abandoned their duties and allowed the situation to deteriorate. No one has taken steps to address this. Today we are addressing these issues. We have increased government employees' salaries by 10,000 rupees starting in January. We are working to reduce the tax burden on the middle class. That work is underway. Plantation wages have been increased. Private sector salaries have also seen an increase. The economy is beginning to recover. That is why we must continue this program. Let us sustain this initiative for another 2 or 3 years and we will establish a new economy that fosters prosperity and strength. I will secure your future with the efforts we undertake today. Grant me your mandate. I also promise a future for our youth. We can do it, Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka පුළුවන් ජනතාව ජය වේවා.
A large group of party members welcomed Sajith Premadasa, the presidential candidate of Samagi Jana Balawegaya. Members of parliament and electorate organisers from Samagi Jana Balawegaya were also present to greet their candidate.
කඩාවැටුණු ගරාවැටුණු අපේ දේශය ජන ජීවිත ලක්ෂ 220ක් ජනතාව ගත කරන දුකෙන් මුදවා ගන්නා සැමට සෞභාග්‍ය ලැබෙන සැමට සංවර්ධනය උදා කරන.
Our nation is in despair. We aim to alleviate the suffering of 22 million people. At this pivotal moment, I affirm that the Samagi Jana Balawegaya's mission is to win over 22 million people through your support. We declare that our team will prioritize the nation and dedicate everything to the principles of Sri Lanka first. We will empower the people, uphold the laws and recover stolen assets.
රටේ නීතියට ගරු කරන අහිමි වුණු දේපල සම්පත හොරා කාපු සල්ලි ටික නැවතත් වරක් මේ රටට ලබා ගන්න පොදු ජන යුගයේ අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවායි කියන එක ප්‍රකාශ කරමින් අද අපිව ශක්තිමත් කරන්නට නම් ලෙසින් පැමිණි ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම ජය වේවා ජය වේවා ජය වේවා.
Members of the National People's Power gathered near the Rajagiriya flyover to welcome the party's presidential candidate, Anurakumara Disanayaka. Members of Parliament from the NPP and affiliated parties also joined them.
අපේ සම්මුතිය තිබෙන්නේ අපේ ගිවිසුම තිබෙන්නේ මේ රටේ ජනතාවත්.
Our commitment is to the people of this country, yet we see numerous new agreements being signed that do not align with the interests of the people. How many parliamentary positions are these parties securing? How many candidates are they fielding? We now witness negotiations over ministerial positions and electoral organizers. People who say that they stand for the protection of cricket and those who they said were destroying cricket are now on the same stage. Those who stole public property and those who promised to punish these thieves are now standing on the same platform. Those who advocated for dismantling family power and establishing independent policies are now also sharing the same stage. The public recognizes that a political change is necessary. The 21st of September will mark the end of this era of politics. This is your chance to transform the country.
මේ තමයි මේ රටේ ජනතාව දිනන ඡන්දය. මේක තමයි මේ රට විනාශ කරන ඡන්දය.
A group of supporters for Sri Lanka Podujana Peremuna's presidential candidate Namal Rajapaksa gathered near Saranamawatha in Rajagiriya. The MP received a warm and enthusiastic reception.
I am entering this presidential race with the goal of winning. We firmly believe in our ability to implement modern policies and economic policies to safeguard the people and the country. I invite parents and children and the youth of this nation to join us in reshaping our country to meet the demands of the modern era while also preserving our cultural heritage.
The leaders and members of the Sarvajana Balaya Alliance were near the election office to support their presidential candidate, Dilith Jayavira. He submitted his nomination papers for the presidential election as the candidate of the Sri Lanka Communist Party.
Gathering and marching in large numbers contravenes election laws, which is why we requested that you not assemble here. Nonetheless, I deeply appreciate your presence here today.
Nuwan Bopage, the presidential candidate of the Socialist People's Forum, received a warm reception from political representatives and activists of the People's Struggle Movement.
We are not merely presenting a candidate, we are offering a vision of hope for our country. Our left-wing program aims to radically transform the economy, moving away from exploitative and profit motives. We propose to sever ties with the IMF and address issues relating to Indian influence and colonization. Our plan is designed to rescue our people from hardship.
Janaka Ratnayaka, the presidential candidate of the Eksat Lanka Podujana Party, also addressed the media following the submission of his nominations.
2 objections were filed against my nominations, but these were dismissed by the Election Commission. I believe this reflects a fear among certain individuals because I am a staunch advocate for truth, justice and the fight against corruption. I speak boldly, which is why we decided yesterday to bring those who have accepted bribes to justice. Our current political landscape is troubling. After 75 years, Sri Lanka faces economic ruin due to the actions of these politicians. To resolve this, I call on everyone to support an independent candidate like me.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe travelled to Kandy this afternoon after submitting his nomination as an independent candidate.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe, upon arriving in Kandy, obtained blessings at the temple of the sacred tooth relic.
Italian, okay.
After arriving at the Malvatu Mahavihara, the President visited and received the blessings of Venerable Sri Sumangala Thero, the Chief Prelate of the Malvatu chapter of the Siam sect.
Two years have not yet passed. The economy has recovered, but there is more work to be done. It will take 20, 30 or even 32 years to build everything properly. I do not want to be here at that time. The next 3 to 4 years are crucial. If we establish a strong foundation now, it will not be a problem to carry it forward. Let's assemble a capable group of ministers to carry out this work and then hand over the country to them.
Following this, the President visited the Askari Mahavihara, where he received the blessings of the Chief Prelate of the Askari chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Varakagoda Sri Jnanaratana Thero.
After submitting his presidential election nomination, Sajid Premadasa, the candidate from the Samagi Janabalabega, arrived at the Hunupitiya Gangarame temple this afternoon.
Sajid Premadasa paid a visit to Venerable Dr. Kirinde Asajit Thero, the chief incumbent of Gangaramya temple, and received the blessings of the Mahasangha.
Ada obutuma suvisesita katayuttකට ආශිර්වාද ලබා ගන්න පැමිණි වෙලාවේ ස්වාමින් වහන්සේලා හැටියට අපි තුනුරුවන්ගේ ගුණ සිහිපත් කරමින් ආශිර්වාද කරනවා සෙල් පදනවා. ඒ ආශිර්වාදාත්මක බලයෙන් ඔබතුමාගේ ඡන්ද ව්‍යාපාර කටයුතු කරගෙන යන්න. ඒ අතරතුර ලෙඩක් දුකක් කරදරයක් ඇති වෙන්න.
Parliamentarian Velu Kumar, who was elected to Parliament from the Samagi Janabalawegir in the Kandy district, has decided to support Ranil Wickremesinghe at the upcoming presidential election.
Parliamentarian Velu Kumar pledged his support to President Ranil Wickremesinghe today. The President met Parliamentarian Velu Kumar before leaving to hand over the nominations today. Parliamentarian Velu Kumar was elected to Parliament from the Samagi Janabalawegir, representing the Tamil Progressive Alliance led by Parliamentarian Mano Ganesan. Parliamentarian Mano Ganesan said that Velu Kumar was removed from all positions and party membership. Rishad Badiuddin's All Ceylon Makkal Congress and the Samagi Janasandane reached an agreement in Colombo today as the ACMC pledged its support for Sajid Premadasa in the upcoming presidential election. A group of party leaders from both sides were present for this event.
Sajid Premadasa metumani otumata apage ekama illima wanne
I am particularly pleased to state that Honorable Sajid Premadasa, like his late father, is the champion of the just cause of the Palestinian people who have been struggling for their inalienable right of self-determination for more than 75 years. In this context, both parties have agreed that under the foreign policy of the incoming SJB government, Sri Lanka will call for the immediate establishment of an independent Palestinian state within the pre-1967 resolutions. The Sri Lanka Parliament under the new SJB government will also pass a resolution to this effect. The ACMJ has called for immediate and effective measures to be undertaken to strengthen and enforce laws against discrimination based on ethnicity, religion or language, ensuring equal rights and protection for all citizens, and a strong law to be adopted against hate speech and impose deterrent punishments on offenders. We are confident that with the wholehearted support of the ACMJ as well as like-minded political parties, the outright victory of Honorable Sajid Premadasa by a massive majority and his appointment as the next president of Sri Lanka is well and truly assured.
Malaysia wage ratawala tiyena neetiyak wage me genalla අනාගතයේදී ආගම් ભેදයෙන් තොරව ජීවත් වන්න පිරිසක් ඇති කරන්න
අද දින සමස්ත ලංකා මහජන කොංග්‍රසය ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදීව පක්ෂයේ නායකතුමා.
Today the ACMC discussed with party members the decisions that should be made democratically by the leader of the opposition at the district level. I extend my thanks to him and all of you for reaching this consensus through such an open and transparent process. The leader of your party had to endure significant hardships for a long time, and the team that worked with him faced imprisonment. These sacrifices were made for our victory. Some people have forgotten that preference was given only after the logo was finalized. On the other hand, I hope that any scandals within this party will be resolved through our unity. We should be happy that we don't have any contract thieves and gold thieves or any mercenaries among us. This is being demonstrated very clearly today.
සෝදාපාලුවට ලක් වෙයි කියලා. දැන් අද අපි සතුටු වෙන්නට ඕන කොන්ත්‍රාත් හොරු නැහැ, රත්තරන් හොරු නැහැ, නම්බර එකේ පගාකාරයෝ නැහැ.
While Rishad Badiuddin pledged his support to Sajid Premadasa, 3 parliamentarians from his party pledged their support to Ranil Wickremesinghe. Parliamentarians, Attorney-at-Law Musharraf Mudanabin, Ishaq Rahman and Ali Sabri Rahim pledged their support to President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Out of the 3 parliamentarians from Rishad Badiuddin's party, Musharraf Mudanabin was elected to Parliament under the ticket of the All Ceylon People's Congress, while Ishaq Rahman contested from the Samagi Janabalawegir. MP Ali Sabri Rahim was elected to Parliament under the Muslim National Alliance.
ACMC පක්ෂය අනුවෙන් 4 දෙනෙක් මන්ත්‍රීතුමාලා 4 දෙනෙක් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ඉන්නේ. 4 දෙනෙකින්
There are 4 parliamentarians of the SMC. 3 out of those 4 MPs are here. Just because Rishad Badiuddin is supporting Sajid Premadasa does not mean that the entire Muslim community is supporting Sajid Premadasa. In reality, 3 of the 4 parliamentarians of the party are supporting Ranil Wickremesinghe. Also, when we go to the northern and eastern provinces or the Anuradhapura and Puttalam districts, the people there are all ready to support Ranil Wickremesinghe.
දැන් අතිකරු රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ ජනාධිපතිතුමාට සහයෝගය දෙන්න දැන් ජනතාව ඔක්කොම ලේස්ති වෙලා ඉන්නේ.
කවුද වෙද්දේ සුදුසේ කියලා මිනිහ
The people have already decided who can work and who is suitable. Therefore, we would like to inform the people of this country that Rishad Badiuddin is just one person and he does not have hundreds of thousands of... Therefore, we would like to inform the people of the country that Rishad Badiuddin is just one person and he does not have hundreds of thousands of votes. 3 of the MPs who won at the general election are here with Ranil Wickremesinghe. Therefore, Ranil Wickremesinghe will record a resounding victory. Not only in the north and the east, the entire country has decided to vote for him because he revived the country that had fallen down economically.
මේ රටේ වෙටිච්ච රට ආර්ථික වලින් ගොඩ ගත්තා. අපි කියනවා අපේ ජනාධිපති කියනවා
We would like to inform the people that just because he went there does not mean that the entire Muslim community is with him. It is only a small group that is there. We have MPs from Ampara, Anuradhapura and Putlam districts and also MP Ataullah. No matter how many there are on that side, the people are with the president.
වෙටිපොල්ම ජනතාවේ ජනාධිපති කියන්නේ
Colombo Additional Magistrate Mohammed Rizwan placed the chairman and the secretary of the Eksat Lanka Poduchana party under remand custody until the 27th of August for allegedly demanding a bribe of 30 million rupees from presidential candidate Janaka Ratnayaka.
Now, following the order, Heba Munige Nihal Prema Kumara and Denagama Ruan Tilaka Pedruarachi were placed under remand custody.
While 6 others who claim to be members of the party's executive committee were also arrested yesterday, the magistrate ordered them to be released on a surety bail of 2 million rupees each. Producing the suspects to the magistrate, the investigating officers of the Bribery Commission said that the arrests were made at a location named Baralla Valikata Plaza yesterday, while undercover agents had lured them, promising to pay that bribe. The investigation officers said that Janaka Ratnayaka's accountant had given 60 bundles of 5,000 rupee notes, which included a total of 6,000 notes to the first and second suspects. The investigating officers requested that the suspects be remanded, saying that CCTV footage and more statements should be obtained regarding the incident and that investigations had not concluded. Appearing on behalf of the defendants, attorney Prasanna Lianarachi said that this is a trick orchestrated by Janaka Ratnayaka. He added that the complaint had been made out of pure spite. He went on to say that he denies the accusation that his clients had demanded a bribe and accepted it. The United Lanka Podujana Party had remained inactive for 9 years, and the attorney said that they had obtained approval of the NEC to reactivate the party on the 12th of August after having accepted Janaka Ratnayaka as the presidential candidate. He went on to note that Janaka Ratnayaka filed this complaint to inconvenience the party for some reason, although he said that he will provide the funds to carry out promotional and propaganda activities for his presidential candidacy.
The power of the people.
රටට බත සපයන රජරට තමුත්තේකම කුඩා වෙල්ලන් කඩවල ග්‍රාමී ජනතාව පිරිසිදු පානීය ජලය නොමැතිව බොහෝසී දුක් විඳි කාලය නිමා කරමින් ගම්මැද්දෙන් පානීය ජල පෙරණයක් ලබා දුන් වගයි. ගම්මැද්ද රට නගන ජල පෞර.
The Sri Lankan embassy in Myanmar said that the 20 Sri Lankans rescued from the hold of Chinese criminal syndicates in a terrorist-controlled area of Myanmar will be repatriated to Sri Lanka very soon.
According to Prabhashini Ponnamperama, the Sri Lankan ambassador to Myanmar, these individuals are currently in the custody of Thai immigration officials.
The request made by different sections and with the continuous requests and interventions made by the Sri Lanka embassy in Myanmar, and accordingly through the intervention and assistance of the government of Myanmar, it was able to rescue a group of 20 Sri Lankan nationals who were trafficked and trapped in a cyber scan center in Mewadi, Myanmar. At the moment, they are under the custody of the immigration authorities of Thailand and sheltered in an immigration center. All are in good mental and physical health at the moment. The relevant process for their earliest repatriation to Sri Lanka has already started with the intervention of the Sri Lanka Embassy in Bangkok, Thailand.
For nearly a year, Newsfirst has been highlighting the harrowing plight of over 50 Sri Lankan youth who are being held captive by an armed group along the Myanmar-Thailand border. These individuals were lured to Myanmar with promises of computer-related jobs, only to be exploited for cyber crimes. They have been held in 3 different locations within the Mewadi area of Myanmar, where they endured severe torture and were forced into criminal activities. Although 8 Sri Lankan youth were recently rescued from Mewadi, more than 50 others remain imprisoned in 2 other locations. Just yesterday, 20 of them were freed from captivity, having been held against their will in a facility in Mewadi city. The relentless efforts of their parents and families have been instrumental in securing their release. Under the leadership of Capital Maharaja Group Limited and Gammantha, the Bali Process International Conference was held in Sri Lanka, a significant step forward in the fight against human trafficking. The event brought together ministers, diplomats, representatives from international organizations and regional business leaders from Asia-Pacific countries. A crucial meeting was also organized in Galle a few months ago between diplomats attending the 2024 Bali Process Government and Business Forum, representatives from international NGOs and the families of those still imprisoned in Myanmar.
We have only a count of 49, but we don't know whether there are more there. Please do something to save our children as soon as possible and ban this.
You have my personal commitment and my organisation's commitment that we will have the conversations after today and see what we can do to help you.
We were able to make the delegates understand the situation of our youth, and they really agreed to help us save these children. They were very touched, they were very cooperative in trying to help us. As a result of that, we were able to bring back 20 Sri Lankans, rescue 20 Sri Lankans, and now they are safe in Thailand. I also plead to help rescue the remaining 34 who are suffering from day one. They were the ones who were going through all the difficulties from the day they landed in Myanmar.
We visited all possible agencies. We are thankful to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Bali Process, the IOM, the Sri Lankan embassies in Myanmar and Thailand for securing the release of the 20 youth. They are now in safe hands.
While we celebrate the rescue of these 20 individuals, we must not forget that over 30 Sri Lankans remain trapped in Myanmar's Mewadi area, enduring unimaginable suffering. We urge all parties to continue their efforts to ensure the swift and safe return of these innocent lives.
Former Sri Lankan Deputy High Commissioner to Australia, Himali Arunathilaka, has been found guilty of severe labour exploitation against her domestic worker, Priyanka Dhanaratne.
In a case run by the Clayton Youth's pro bono team, the federal court has held that former Sri Lankan Deputy High Commissioner in Australia, Himali Arunathilaka, owes her former domestic worker and Clayton Youth's client $374,000 in unpaid wages and a further $169,000 in interest. In a landmark judgment handed down by the Federal Court of Australia today, Justice Raper found former Sri Lankan Deputy High Commissioner to Australia, Himali Arunathilaka, guilty of significant breaches of Australian employment law. The court ordered the former diplomat to pay Priyanka Dhanaratne a total of $543,300.73 in unpaid wages and interest. Dhanaratne, a Sri Lankan national, was brought to Australia by Arunathilaka in 2015 to work as a domestic servant at the diplomat's residence in Canberra. The victim endured 3 years of servitude, working long hours without pay, with her passport confiscated and her freedom severely restricted. She received a paltry sum of $11,212 over 3 years, equating to less than 65 cents per hour. Despite the court's ruling, Arunathilaka, now serving as Sri Lanka's ambassador to the United Nations in Geneva, has chosen to ignore the judgment. A further hearing is to be held to determine the additional penalties which Arunathilaka must pay for her multiple breaches of the Fair Work Act.
The World Health Organization has declared that Mpox outbreak a public health emergency of international concern.
The WHO Director General has determined that the upsurge of Mpox in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and a growing number of countries in Africa constitutes a public health emergency of international concern under the international health regulations.
Mpox has been reported in the Democratic Republic of the Congo for more than a decade, and the number of cases reported each year has increased steadily over that period. The detection and rapid spread of a new clade of Mpox in eastern DRC, its detection in neighboring countries that had not previously reported Mpox, and the potential for further spread within Africa and beyond is very worrying.
In July 2022, the multi-country outbreak of Mpox was declared a public health emergency of international concern as it spread rapidly via sexual contact across a range of countries where the virus had not been seen before. That public health emergency of international concern was declared over in May 2023 after there had been a sustained decline in global cases. Mpox has been reported in the DRC for more than a decade, and the number of cases reported each year has increased steadily over that period. Last year, reported cases increased significantly, and already the number of cases reported so far this year has exceeded last year's total, with more than 15,600 cases and 537 deaths. Several outbreaks of different clades of Mpox have occurred in different countries with different modes of transmission and different levels of risk. WHO is working with countries and vaccine manufacturers on potential vaccine donations and coordinating with partners through interim medical countermeasures network to facilitate equitable access to vaccines, therapeutics, diagnostics and other tools. WHO anticipates an immediate funding requirement of an initial $15 million to support surveillance, preparedness and response activities. A needs assessment is being undertaken across the 3 levels of the organization.
The inauguration of a ship-in-a-box Coast Guard station funded by the United States took place in Kirinda.
The inauguration of the US-funded ship-in-a-box at the Coast Guard station in Kirinda took place in the presence of US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie Chung. The innovative center, crafted from standard shipping containers resembling a merchant vessel's bridge, provides a near real-life experience to train Coast Guard and other law enforcement agencies, including Sri Lanka Navy, on boarding procedures to inspect ships.
We all know Sri Lanka's waters host vital trade routes that maintain global supply networks and carry goods all over the world. Uniquely positioned in the Indian Ocean, Sri Lanka plays such a key role in leading efforts to increase maritime security, to prevent illegal activities and the movements of illicit enterprises. The United States government, along with our partners and friends, recognize just how important the ports and shipping industries are to economic development and peace in Sri Lanka and other countries across the Indo-Pacific region.
This facility will help train Sri Lanka Coast Guard personnel in search and siege operations to protect its sovereign waters, bolstering our collective ability to combat maritime crime threats across the Indian Ocean region.
Dr. Nishan Dimel, the Executive Director of Verite Research, highlighted that if the official creditors reject the debt restructuring deal, it should be seen as an opportunity to set better targets than those from the International Monetary Fund. He expressed these views attending the Sri Lanka's Future Forecast Scenarios and Challenges panel discussion yesterday in Colombo.
A panel discussion titled Sri Lanka's Future Forecast Scenarios and Challenges, organized by the Sri Lanka Korea Business Council of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, was held in Colombo yesterday. The main focus of the discussion was a comprehensive analysis of the future economic outlook of Sri Lanka. The panel comprised of economists Murtaza Jafarji, Dr. Nishan Dimel, Dr. Anila Dias Bandaranaike and Jonathan Allis, while the discussion was moderated by Dhananath Fernando.
If there is agreement on the debt restructuring and tomorrow the official creditors agree with the private creditors' offer, private creditors agree, we have to close it. This train has traveled too far, Sri Lanka can't buckle it. There is a small risk that we will not get agreement yet. official creditors could reject the private creditors' offer. And if that happens, you get into another cycle. I think if you don't see that as a disaster, see it as an opportunity. That's what I'm saying. If you don't, accept it and then work to have better targets than the IMF is giving you. And I think this is where what Murtaza is saying and what you're saying, that if you don't fix government, you can't fix the economy.
The panel discussion further addressed key areas such as projections for Sri Lanka's economic growth and development going forward, incorporating scenarios with possible changes in government, analysis of how anticipated economic changes incorporating post-election scenarios will impact business in different sectors and necessary action, socio-economic vulnerabilities and necessary actions, identification of potential challenges and risks associated with economic forecast, examination of the current economic status and changes based on potential policy deviations and recommendations for businesses and policymakers to navigate the predicted economic landscape.
The Women's International Shipping and Trading Association, or WISTA Sri Lanka, celebrated its 10th anniversary this year.
To mark this significant milestone, WISTA Sri Lanka organised a series of events, including an event featuring renowned transformational thought leader Karen Leong. The event was held in Colombo under the theme Charting the Course of Your Success in a Disruptive World. Recognised as one of the 10 most influential professional speakers in Singapore by Singapore Business Review, Leong is also an Amazon best-selling author, TEDx speaker and coach.
We all know this. We know that change is a constant. And we know that change is actually accelerating exponentially. Because just look back the last couple of years, right? Change has come at us in so many directions. We have got the COVID crisis, the economic crisis, geopolitical crisis, we've got wars, we've got artificial intelligence, we've got natural stupidity. Everything is happening all at once.
Karen Leong shared her expertise on leadership strategies for a transformative era, transformational leadership in times of disruption and effective leadership in a disruptive world.
රටක් ලෙස අප හමුවේ ඇති සිහින අනාගතයට අප රැගෙන යන බලාපොරොත්තුවයි. සැපවත් නගරවල මෙන්ම දුප්පත් ගම්මානවල පොදු සිහිනය. යහපත් හෙට දවසක්. ඒ සිහිනය ජය ගන්නට එක්ව නැගිටිමු. ගම්මැද්ද රට නගන ජනපෞර.
Welcome back to the news. And some news from overseas. More than 100 Liberal Party candidates will be unable to run for council in Australia's most populous state after the party missed an election nomination deadline.
Over 100 Liberal Party candidates in New South Wales will be unable to run for council elections due to a missed nomination deadline. New South Wales officials said they legally cannot accept late entries, with one of Australia's top election analysts estimating the party is likely to lose about 50 council seats as a result. Several long-serving politicians will automatically be out of a job, and constituents of 8 councils will not have a single Liberal Party candidate to vote for. State Party Director Richard Shields has apologised and blamed limited resources for the failure to complete paperwork in time. The party's state parliamentary leader, Mark Speakman, described the episode as probably the worst act of mismanagement in the party's history, saying Shields should have asked for more resources. His position is untenable and he has been asked to step down.
That's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.